Hey guys, it's Cindy. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the books that I read in the month of November. I had a really good reading month this month. I read 7 books, which is a lot more than I normally read. I normally read around 4 books in a month due to school, so that's about like a book a week. But this month I managed to read 7, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys the ones that I read. So I'm just going to give you like a brief overview. I am missing one of the books because I had to return it back to the library. If you saw my library book haul for the month of November, then you would have seen what book that was that I had already read. So I'm going to start off with like the book that I enjoyed the least. I participated in one readathon this month, last month, which was Contemporary-a-thon. So that actually helped out a lot with my reading. I was able to read 2 books that week, so I'm going to start off with those 2. The first one is Like Water by Rebecca Potus. This is the book that I enjoyed the least this month. I gave it a 3-star. It is about a girl named Savannah, and it is her dealing with just like getting out of high school, and she has to deal with like working at her family's restaurant as well as with her sexuality, and she ends up being a mermaid at an amusement park in her town. Overall, I expected a lot out of this book, especially because it dealt with a bisexual main character as well as it had that Hispanic rep, which I usually don't get out of books, so I was like really excited to get that. We did get a little bit of like bilingual like terms and stuff, just like short phrases, which I did enjoy, but I expected a lot more out of it, especially since we don't have many Hispanic main characters. So overall I wasn't a fan. I'm kind of disappointed that I bought the book. I kind of wish I would have just checked it out from the library. So the next book that I read during that week, I read this book in like almost just in one sitting. I read it in one day and I absolutely loved this book. I have to pick up the second one in the series because I really enjoyed it. It is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torre. I gave this 4 stars and I really enjoyed this book. It is really messed up, and if you are under the age of 18, I do not suggest picking this book up because it has a lot of sexual, just everything. A lot of sexual dialogue, a lot of gore. I mean, you are literally inside of the head of a serial killer, so it is really dark. It is about a girl that has not left her home in 3 years. She suffers with murderous tendencies. She is constantly thinking about killing people, so she just excludes herself from everyone. So what she does for a living is that she is a cam girl, so that is how she makes all of her money. That's why she never leaves her apartment. She gets everything sent to her. I love this, and if you are over the age of 18, I highly suggest picking this up. So the next book I picked up, I actually started to read it during the Contemporary-a-thon, but I did not finish it, and this was a book that my little sister suggested to me because she had watched the movie, and it was Flipped by Wendelin Van Draenen, and I absolutely love this. It was super fast to get through. I mean, it's only like 200 pages. It's super cute. It has to deal with a main character named Julie Baker, and she has basically been in love with her next door neighbor since the day that he moved in, and he absolutely cannot stand her. I love Julie's personality so much. I guess it's technically a middle grade novel because they are in middle school, and it is just so absolutely cute, and I love her. I honestly don't know if I love the guy as much as I loved her. I watched the movie as well. It was a really good adaptation. It had a lot of the same dialogue, a lot of the same situations that happen in the book, which usually those get a little misconstrued when they're adapted. So I really love this book. The next book is one that I was a little skeptical going into, but I saw it at my local Walmart and it was a signed edition, so I decided to just go ahead and pick it up. It is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I have read The Fault in Our Stars back in like high school. I really loved that book. I love the movie as well. So I decided to give this a go because I heard so many people talking about the OCD rep in this book, and I have to say that the OCD and rep in this book was very realistic. I don't personally suffer with OCD, but I could tell just based off of the way that it was written that it wasn't like researched. It was what was actually going on in John Green's life, and it's actually written based off of the OCD that he has. I know that the storyline is a little bit far-fetched. It has to do with a main character named Aza. She ends up finding out that a billionaire is missing, and she wants like the money to be able to say where he is, and she's like going in a canoe and she has to meet like the guy that she was in camp with when she was younger, but he like remembers her and he like secretly loves her. It's just like it was a bit far-fetched, but overall the characters themselves is what I really enjoyed in the book, and that's why I gave it a 4 stars. So this was probably the book that I was the most excited for this month. It is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I love Adam Silvera's work. I read History Is All You Left Me, and I absolutely love that one too. I love this one more than History Is All You Left Me. I haven't read More Happy Than Not yet, but I really enjoyed this book a lot. It has to do with 2 main characters named Mateo and Rufus, and basically they both have received a message that they're going to die today. This deals with a lot of grief and death, and just like the concept of death being so unexpected and how you can't, it's just so sudden. And the only reason I did not give this a 5 star was because of the ending, and I understand why the ending was so rushed because of the fact that you're supposed to get the theme of death being sudden, and of course you're expecting them to die after 24 hours because of the title of the book, but it was just so rushed to me and I wanted so much more. Like, I love the characters a lot, so I wanted a longer story, but I guess it's just me being selfish, and that's why I gave it a 4 star, because I just wasn't ready for the story to end. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. Okay, so now I'm moving on to my 5 stars. I have 2 5-star reads this month. So the first one is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. I read this really quickly. It is about a main character named Justice, and he's dealing with police brutality. He's dealing with writing letters to Martin Luther King about how he's feeling about what is going on. He's trying to be like Martin, which is like this project that he's partaking in school, but then he's like a really good kid. Like he goes to a prep school, he's trying to get into a good school, a good college, and just because of his race he's being discriminated against when he's like not doing anything wrong. So this is a really short book, but it is very impactful, and I highly suggest that you guys pick this book up. So the last book that I read this month was the book Starfish. I do not have a copy of the book because I rented it from my library and I had to return it, but if I can get this editing thing down, it will pop up somewhere over here, so I'm really hoping I can get that to work. But I will definitely be picking up a copy for myself of this book because I absolutely loved it. So Starfish has to do with a main character named Kiko, and Kiko has just graduated high school and she is wanting to get into an art school across the country. It is in New York City, but she ends up finding out that she doesn't get in, and now she has to deal with all the repercussions of staying at home. She has a horrible mother that is constantly putting her down, and she just does not love Kiko, or does not show Kiko that she loves her at all. So you're dealing with Kiko's social anxiety, and the anxiety rep in this book was really, really good. Like, I could really resonate with her anxiety, and it made me love the book even more because I just felt so like represented in that aspect. And I loved the love story in the book as well. It wasn't too just like rushed, and it wasn't like a mental illness cure, if that makes any sense. Like, I know some books tend to like cure mental illness with love, and that's just so unrealistic, and that's not what this book did at all. I love this book so much, and it is going to be like one of my favorite books I've ever read, and I need to pick up a copy for myself immediately. So those are the 7 books that I read this month. I had a really good reading month, and overall I read a lot of books that I thoroughly enjoyed. I do have quite a lot of books that I'm trying to read in December. I will be doing my TBR as soon as I finish this video, so go ahead and jump over to that after you finish watching this one. And yeah, I will talk to you guys next time. If you guys have read any of these books, please let me know what you thought in the description bar below. Bye!